Hi, and welcome to Be Your Own Best Coach Conversations, where you can learn to shift your mindset, change your behavior, and do more stuff you care about. I'm Glen Lubbert, one of the co-founders of Be Your Own Best Coach, a 5-week group coaching program. Once again, I'm here with my colleague and fellow co-founder, Dr. Deborah Teplow. Hi, Deborah.
Hello.
So during our last episode, we talked about what resilience is, why it's important, and the first steps you can take to build up more of it in your life. We looked at the I have, I am, I can model there. If you haven't listened to that episode, we have a link to it in the notes below. Today, though, we're going to look at how to build resilience using a powerful 4-step process based on what we call the lather, rinse, and repeat principle. So Deborah, tell us more about that.
Okay, well, great. Thanks for that intro, Glenn. And first, I want to give a quote. We love our quotes, especially because they often transcend just the here and now. They contain words of wisdom that span sometimes centuries and centuries. This one doesn't quite span centuries. It comes from James Baldwin, who says, "Not everything that is faced can be changed. Nothing can be changed until it is faced." And I think that really, in a way, has a strong truth when we're talking about resilience. And resilience is being able to bounce back from adversity and challenges. And it also helps us face what is difficult because we have the confidence within ourselves that we're able to mount the challenge of adversity, and we can bounce back when we get knocked down. And certainly facing the challenge is the first part of, of putting that resiliency into action. So it's interesting that attitudes towards new challenges affect what happens to us. So we had that Baldwin quote. I'll say it again, not everything that's faced can be changed. Some things, hey, we can't control, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. And part of that facing it is even just revealing to ourselves, embracing, befriending those thoughts or feelings that make us uneasy. I'm scared, I'm worried. And often in really dire times is, am I going to make it? Will I get through this? And so let's take a look, first of all, at some attitudes towards challenges. If we face up to them and overcome the challenge, the potential is to ultimately benefit. If we face up to challenges but do nothing about them, we still may benefit just by virtue of recognizing those challenges. But if we do nothing about the event, we not only don't face up to it, but we don't deal with it. We either withdraw or we just, quote, shine it on. Then often what happens is we go into a fight, flight, or freeze mode. And this then is correlated with a lot of distress and the chronic distress that can lead to a lot of bad stuff, including our health. It can lead to illness and it can lead to premature death. So it's really important to face up, to have those resiliency skills to grapple with the challenges and come out the other end. And this is not just about thinking positive, something very, very different than just putting on a happy face and go dancing through the tulips. It's really the capacity to grapple with all factors that are part of the challenge. Now we're going to talk about a 4-step process. We'll walk you through this 4-step process, very powerful way to build resilience. But first, I want to be somewhat provocative and say that part of building resilience, key parts, does not have to do with gratitude. And that's pretty interesting because gratitude is a very common and popular prescription today. It's almost like everything and anything. What, Glenn?
You always do, like, just write down what you're grateful for and be grateful for that.
Right. That's it. If you have a problem, just write down, as you said, Glenn, what are you grateful for? And we do love gratitude. However, when we're feeling anxious or fearful or worried, it is not gratitude that will help us. And that's because gratitude doesn't directly address the issues of feeling safe and secure. It doesn't give us the sense that I can figure this out. I will get through it. When you're under that kind of stress, if you're feeling anxious, you're worried, you're fearful, it's not what you're grateful for that can calm the body and give you that reassurance. It's actually resilience that boosts our confidence, that helps us move into the action that does reinforce that sense of, I will get through this. So it's not that we don't love gratitude, but we got to be strategic and use it when it works and use other things when it may not work as well.
Yeah, what I heard this in that piece that's different from the gratitude is that the doing this resilience process is it boosts the confidence to address and face the challenge, and that's very powerful.
Right, and it really drives up that sense of self-efficacy, which is your confidence you can do it and your competence.
Ability.
Yeah. So let's look at resilience. And this comes from some work done at Cornell University, and some of their research suggests that resilience is your individual ability to positively cope with stress and adversity, to bounce back. We've talked about that. And resilience has many dimensions. So there's the cognitive, that's what you're thinking. Part of that is how events are interpreted, and how you kind of negotiate what your coping skill is in terms of your thinking. So there are some dysfunctional ways of thinking. For instance, catastrophizing. If one bad thing happens, we think all things that are like that will lead to something terrible.
In 2020, that seems to be a challenge, because it's so many things that are challenging that catastrophizing can easily happen.
Oh yeah. And then that doesn't engender feelings of security and safety. And that's when we go back, no feeling of gratitude is going to help you with security and safety. Will I make it? So having flexible thinking is really important. And then there's behavioral, so that habit of persistence, of grit, of sticking to it in the face of obstacles or failures. It's picking yourself back up and say, okay, I've fell down that time, let's try something else and move forward. And then there's the factor of motivation. And motivation, we're talking about a clear sense of purpose and commitment. It's not just, it's not the kind of most superficial meaning of motivation, but it's what gives my life purpose and meaning. And you think about resilience. What does a parent do when they have a kid who, is waking up multiple times a night? How do they manage? Nobody, if it was maybe a TV show in the middle of the night, you're not going to wake up night after night for your TV show that goes on at 3 a.m. What purpose, what meaning does it have? But if your baby is waking up crying, you definitely have that purpose and that meaning. So there's motivational. Another factor of resilience is the kind of the existential or spiritual, is the sense of larger purpose and the meaning of life. And then there's relational, there's sense of social connectedness. And in fact, you're doing good for others. There's a little bit of altruism. And then emotional, that's a really big part of resilience, is your ability to tolerate negative emotions and to just sit with them and even befriend them. That's part of more maybe mindfulness training, is being able to just sit with those, first of all, recognize them and just sit with them. So now I'd like to go on to our 4-step process. And this is a strength-based process, and it is based a little bit on cognitive behavioral therapy, and very much it's a solution-focused approach. So the first step is to search for strengths. So how do you search for your personal strengths? And moreover, why why search for those strengths? Well, often we have a negativity bias. Rick Hansen, psychologist, talks about the brain. We have Teflon for good stuff that happens to us, and a Velcro for bad stuff. So we tend to overlook things that we can do for ourselves, and the stuff where we fail, we tend to, it really sticks and it looms big in our thinking. So in this way, we really want to develop resilience by identifying those strengths that we already possess, and then build our own personal model of resilience based on those existing strengths. Now, here's the thing. We all are resilient in certain areas of our lives, and I'll tell you exactly where those areas are. But let me go back to this idea of identifying strengths. And the issue is that we're often, as I said, unaware of those strengths. Velcro for negative stuff, Teflon for positive, and we don't identify our strengths nor those areas where we are resilient. So the first thing to do is to search for our hidden strengths. And where do we find them? Well, we find them in common everyday experiences. And what I want to ask you to do is to think of some things that you do on a regular basis, some behavior that you do a lot. It could be even on a daily basis. And it could be something as simple as flossing your teeth. Now, raise your hand, jump up and down and clap if you love to floss your teeth. Very few people love to floss their teeth, right? It does actually, when you get in the habit, it kind of feels nice to have that, smooth feeling.
Clean quest. Yeah, feeling.
Yeah, right. But, let's be honest with each other, right? Flossing your teeth isn't really all that fun. And yet you do it, if you're good about tooth care, right? You do it every day. Well, the traits within you that enable you to do that every day are traits that's resilience. I was really tired. I stayed out with my friends, we saw a great show. Well, this is pre-pandemic, I got home, I was so tired, but I don't go to bed until I've brushed and flossed my teeth. That's the seeds of resilience. What are you doing? So I invite you to look at those things where you have a passion, interest. Now, it doesn't have to be flossing your teeth, where you are committed to doing even these small daily never miss activities, because those are the seeds that's already your resilience in action. And so ask yourself, what enables you to keep going in the face of being tired, or, I didn't have a lot of time, but it didn't matter. I went outside and I did 10 jumping jacks. I didn't have time to do my run, but I still did something. What are those traits that enables you to persist with that interest and to overcome obstacles? So that's number one. So then number two is to construct your own personal model of resilience, not resistance, of resilience. So what you need to do is think about the images and the metaphors that you use for yourself to help you persist in those small activities in which you really exhibit strong resilience. What are those images? What are those metaphors? What are those words that you use? And derive some, principles when the going it could be, I notice, well, when I'm really tired and I don't want to floss, I tell myself, hey, it doesn't take that long to do. And then I do it. So now I'm going to generalize and say, where else in my life, what other obstacles do I face where I could remind myself, oh yeah, it might not take that long to do. That will help me get through it. So that's step 2, is what are all those ways that you're already exhibiting resilience? Then identify an area that is challenging you right now, where you could use a little bit more resilience, and plan which of your personal models of resilience, what are your strategies that have already worked for you? What are those strategies you've generalized? And now, how might they apply to a problem area? And we're not talking about the biggest problem. We're talking about a small problem. You haven't quite, figured out how to manage. Maybe it's the laundry on the couch, and, it is a challenge. You don't have anywhere to sit, et cetera, et cetera. And you realize, well, with my flossing my teeth, I say, how long does it really take to floss, my teeth? Oh, it doesn't take that long. Can I use that strategy with folding the laundry? Now, folding the laundry, you're saying, well, we're in the pandemic. People are freaking out. Is folding the laundry really that important? It could be, because when your house is a mess, you can't even sit down, things are in disarray. That may reinforce that fear, that anxiety. When you use your personal model of resilience to take a little bit of time to maybe fold the laundry, put in a closet, you are taking control of your environment. And that's a big deal. You've made your environment more secure, it's more predictable. You now know I can sit on the couch when I want to. I can predict it. It's something I can have trust in. That gives you more sense of security and stability, safety. There's the use of your personal model of resilience. So see where you can focus on using those skills. Maybe not focus so much on the outcome as much as using the skills. Find out where they work in your life, how they work, and how you can improve how they work. And that is the lather, rinse, and repeat idea. And then finally, the 4th step is to practice. Design some behavioral experiments. Take that inventory of the kinds of strategies you use to overcome bumps in the road, and persist with the things that you're passionate about. And then see, where else might I do it? How else can it apply? Does it apply here? Does it apply there? How might I shift it in a different way? And I think the last thing with step 4 is to have fun with it. This is part of your self-discovery. When you're open to self-discovery, you're also that's a precondition for building that resilience, which is part of your self-awareness, your self-regulation, and your skill building. So go forth and conquer that resilience challenge with your own personal model of resilience, and see how it works, have fun with it, and apply it in ways that are good for you.
That's fantastic. And what I really like about this is you can just take everyday things you do and that you can extrapolate those into strengths. I mean, that's so powerful to be able to look at the things that you do, that you love to do, that you do anyways, and find strengths to that to be able to address in other areas of need.
Yeah, I mean, so many of the answers are inside of us. Those solutions reside in us. If we can, step back, and look at ourselves and appreciate what we do, and look at the simple things, because those simple things, it's the seed that grows into some beautiful tree or plant. So that's it.
Well, that's fantastic, and a great place for us to wrap up, and a great tool for us to have in our toolkit for resilience at this time. So thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
And yes, and thank you everyone for listening. Now we want to hear from you. How will you use what you just heard today? Please leave a comment below. And while you're down there, feel free to comment on other people's comments. That's how we generate a community of helpful ideas and suggestions. I also want to let everyone know to check out BeYourOwnBestCoach.com, where you can find out more information about our 5-week group coaching program. And listeners of that Be Your Own Best Coach conversations can take 10% off enrollment costs using the keyword conversations. Thanks again for listening, and stay well.